One of our favorite ways to talk to voters in an election year is through a focus group. And this year, like millions of other Americans, we're talking on Zoom. Friday night, we spoke with 3 Biden supporters and 3 Trump supporters about the president's diagnosis.
It's probably an eye-opener for him.
What do you mean an eye-opener for him?
Sometimes I wonder whether, enough people take the virus seriously, I guess.
And you think he hasn't?
I'm a mask believer. I really believe in masks, and I guess I wish masks were, from the get-go, we were all suggested to use it.
Thomas, you're out in Ohio. I know you were also a supporter of the president.
When I heard that he had coronavirus, I guess I wasn't surprised. I've always thought from the beginning of this pandemic that we'd all end up being exposed to it at some point.
Jill, you live in Houston, Texas, and in that area, masks did become a big political battle.
I wasn't surprised because I'm in the healthcare field. I know the importance of being protected, and I was really surprised that he ever thought it was okay to not wear a mask, or that he ever even encouraged people not to. It was concerning to me, so I can't say that I was surprised when I found out.
JR, you're in Georgia, where this also became heavily politicized.
Well, I'm a firm believer in karma. I just am. The president just has never taken this seriously. He said that he has the best genes. He's going to be the healthiest president. There's no evidence of that. I mean, just by his physical appearance. And I'm saddened that he's in the hospital right now. I really am. But I mean, this is of his own doing. And he should have taken every precaution because he knew about it before we did, and he didn't tell us.
You were a Trump supporter.
Oh, no, I'm no longer. I try to give him a chance. I mean, but our country is in peril. We're at our knees. And people are not taking this seriously. I mean, it sounds like a whole different country. It not only sounds like the United States, it sounds like some other country. And we're going through all of this. It's so sad.
It is sobering news today. Lori, you live outside Nashville, Tennessee. When it comes to the president's health, are you trusting the news you're receiving?
Yeah, I don't have any reason to believe that we're not being told the truth about that. I also think, at least in my own circles, people I know and care about, I know some people who this didn't start to hit home for them until someone they know and loved contracted it themselves. And so that may be the case here, that just seeing someone prominent who has it may change the way you feel about the public health recommendations. I hope that it will.
Can I see a show of hands from those of you who believe that the news of the president's illness will affect the presidential campaign? Will it affect votes? Jill, why do you think this will affect votes?
Knowing that he now has the virus, and all the people that maybe went out and supported him, that maybe went to rallies and did things and didn't wear masks, maybe they feel a little betrayed. So it may affect a few people.
Juan, do you feel you've been misled?
Not in the least bit. He told us from the beginning. He tried to be positive, but he never lied to us. He said people are dying. China lied, people died. Bad things happen. It's a horrible, horrible virus. My wife's uncle's wife died way at the very beginning in March. So we knew it was serious. And I don't think he ever lied to us. He was trying to pump us up and try to keep us positive while the experts are giving you the nuts and bolts of what was going on.
CBS has been doing a lot of research and polling, and one of our recent polls showed that a majority of Republicans, 57%, told us that the death count from COVID-19 is an acceptable number. Tom, are you one of the Republicans who thinks that the current death count is acceptable?
I do think it's acceptable. When we were faced with the initial estimates of anywhere from 2 to 4 million people dying in this pandemic.
Where did you hear those estimates?
That was the start when everything started percolating when it came to the virus. I mean, the news was very dire out of China when they started, but I think that we had very little information to go on. And so was it a desperate situation? Well, it wasn't presented to us that way. The worst case scenario was anywhere from 2 to 4 million people dying with this pandemic. Well, you're talking a country of almost 350 million people here, okay? And so 200,000, it's too many. Yes, it's too many. But when you start thinking about what could have been and what the initial estimates for the percentage of people that would die with this virus, I think our healthcare workers did an incredible job helping people here. And so, you know, hats off to them because they really stepped up and took care of people, and the therapeutics have helped.
And I should have mentioned that you are in Ohio, where you say you're seeing a lower number right now. Will all of you get a vaccine? How many of you will get a vaccine when it is approved by the FDA? Jill, you're a healthcare worker. You're not going to get a vaccine?
Absolutely not, because until it is done properly and tested properly and all the proper research is done, I am not going to be a guinea pig. Because basically that's what they're going to be doing, because by rushing it and by trying to, you know, say, okay, we've got the vaccine, everything's back to normal, all they're doing is they're going to be testing it on humans, and I will not be a human testing me.
JR, I understand that you lost a number of family members to COVID-19.
Oh, yeah, I actually have someone who's in the hospital now.
Well, given that and what you know, why wouldn't you go for a vaccine?
Well, y'all heard of the Tuskegee experiment, right? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist person, but I'm reluctant to put anything in my body that I don't know what it is.
What would change your mind? What would make you believe it's safe?
290 million people took it and they were fine.
Jill, you were shaking your head yes when JR said he was skeptical, and he specifically mentioned the Tuskegee experiments.
Yes. I mean, you have to admit that, I mean, we have a right to kind of feel that way after what was done during that experiment. And who's to say anybody would be fair to us now, you know, or, I mean.
When you say us, when you say us, you mean specifically African Americans.
Yeah. And I'm not a person that normally thinks that way, but I mean, when I look at everything going on in the world now and all the racial divide and everything, it just makes me a little bit less trusting.
I agree with Jill exactly the same. I just feel like, you know, African Americans, people of color, at first thought that, hey, we weren't going to get this disease. And now we're finding that, hey, we're one of the essential targets of this disease, and we're bearing the brunt of this disease. I literally have people who have died from this disease that I know, and someone's in intensive care right now, and my heart's breaking. So for me to take this vaccine that they going to push out faster than anything that I've ever heard of, they still haven't found a vaccine for AIDS. And how you gonna put out a vaccine in less than a year? That it really just, I cannot understand that. It doesn't compute in my mind. I'm sorry.
And you can see a lot more of our conversation with the focus group on our website at facethenation.com.